Let's go to New York, and the socialist mayor candidate there, Zohran Mamdani, has been forced to clarify comments about his aunt not using the subway in New York City due to post-9/11 Islamophobia. Remember this?
I want to speak to the memory of my aunt. Who stopped taking the subway after September 11th because she did not feel safe in her hijab.
Zohran Mamdani made those comments a few days ago, and very quickly social media users identified his aunt and noted that she neither wore a hijab nor lived in the US during the period he was talking about. So Zohran Mamdani has clarified earlier today. He said, "I was speaking about Zehra Fouhi, my father's cousin, who passed away a few years ago." So there you go, Kosha. It was not so much his aunt as his dad's cousin. So I don't know if in his culture everyone's called aunt and uncle, or whether he was just adding a little mayonnaise to that story to make it a bit more, I don't know, poignant.
There might be some truth to the first bit.
It doesn't have the same ring to it as my dad's cousin didn't want to catch the subway.
Next, it'll be his, his neighbor's pet, and then his high school friend's uncle or what have you didn't like, police or whatever his issue of the day is. It could be that there's a little bit of that. The culture uses those terms, rather loosely, but it doesn't have the same zing. The internet is incredible at finding these things out. Video is ubiquitous, as we were just saying, and he, with those crocodile tears, he really is. I mean, we know he's on a glide path to victory, and he really is an actor, I have to say, and a good one, a very good one. And that's why he's hitting those things. And even if after the fact the internet solves these mysteries or calls him out, it doesn't matter because he's doing what he needs to do to get this thing in the bag, because that's where it's headed.
How boldly confident or arrogant would you have to be in the position he's in? He's about to be the mayor of New York City, to pull out that story, to go with it. I mean, it offended so many people, even if it was accurate, which there's some major question marks. I didn't believe it from the start. But, this is a city that was devastated. 3,000 people died. And the impact of that terrorist attack lingers to this day. And he's talking about his aunt and shedding tears about some supposed aversion to public transport, as if that's some massive injustice, when people that lost their lives, thousands of people were murdered.
3,000 people, and so insulting. You're right that he has it in the bag, so he doesn't need to do these cheap tricks. I can only surmise that he has vast political ambitions. This is a stepping stone. We're not seeing the last of him, career-wise. Him, AOC, all these people are very young. And many people have likened him to Obama in a way that, yes, it's about winning an election, but it's also about just making your brand and really trying to instigate the issue set that you want to attach yourself with. And it is this one, notwithstanding that he's sitting in New York City where it's so insulting to do that. Also very conveniently using one side of the heritage. So Obama famously always, lead into his black side, not his white mother and grandmother who raised him. Same here. His mother is Hindu and this very elite filmmaker. Never talks about that side. He's got all the hijab wearing Muslims in the background, and he is playing to that because that's where the demographic winds are blowing in the West, and I think he's trying to get a piece of it.
Incredible, though, in New York that he would do that, because, you would think if you were advising him, you'd ask him to shy away from that, but that's what I'm saying. He is so bold and confident about where he's headed that he's not shying away from any of that. Now, the media remain obsessed with this absurd notion that Donald Trump is going to serve a third term. They're taking the memes and jokes seriously. Listen to this exchange suggesting Donald Trump will try to remain in the White House by being vice president.
Theory on how you might try to serve a third term is that you could run as the vice president.
Yeah, I'd be allowed to do that.
Is it the White House or the White House counsels or your legal position?
No, you'd be allowed to do that, but I wouldn't. I wouldn't do that. I think it's too cute. Yeah, I would rule that out because it's too cute. I think the people wouldn't like that. It's too cute. It's not. It wouldn't be right.
Marco Rubio's got a very good poker face. He's not letting anything out there. I mean, really, if they were concerned about people serving third and fourth terms, I might look at the influence Barack Obama had on the Biden White House. What do you see here? I mean, I think the Republicans are Trump's Republicans now. I think if JD Vance is the candidate, so much of what he does is in the Donald Trump mould. So he doesn't need to be there for his influence to linger.
He doesn't need to. He has completely remade the party. It started as a hijack, that's what they used to say, to just a rebuilding. The Congress still doesn't have enough of the populist types. There's maybe 5 or 6. I would say a lot of the establishment people are still in there. That takes a few cycles to renew. But that is where the trend is. That movement is ascendant. There's JD. Even people like Marco, who originally were of the establishment, have all pivoted. All these mainstream people, Pam Bondi, all of these people, they're not all perfect, but they're generally following in his footsteps and sort of the populist vision. I think, it's funny because the OG of the multiple terms was their favorite FDR, Democrat president. As you mentioned, Obama had this shadow presidency, was widely regarded. Maybe Trump could do that. He's got plenty of property there and everywhere, stick around. But it would be funny. He'll never do this. It would be funny. There is one president who, I think it was one of the Adams, second Adams, that went back into Congress after the presidency. If he ran for Congress in Florida and then was always in there forever, just like stoking the media and doing all that, it'd be so funny. But he has bigger things to go.
I think he's finally entitled to retirement.
Yes.
and maybe just some games of golf without having to worry about peace deals and geopolitics and everything else.
He's earned it.
Who do you see as the front runner? JD Vance to me is just a natural successor. I see 8 years of him in the White House, but they actually have an embarrassment of riches. They've got Ron DeSantis, who is a very capable candidate, obviously governor of Florida. Marco Rubio is doing an excellent job and, again, very well regarded by the Republican base. Anything I've missed there? There's quite a few other contenders who are also on the...
Yeah, I think those are the big names. It could be somebody outside of politics, people... I hate to say it, actually, because I know everybody's mind will go in one place, but there are young people that are just great at doing battle. People always talked about Charlie, but even others in that mold you could see as well. Just because what he has done is he has taught people how to fight. He's completely figured out a way to go around the mainstream media, which makes it more accessible. So there could even be somebody outside of government that we don't quite think about today, but is just one orbit outside and could jump in.
Well, that's a very good point. And there's also talk about Donald Trump Jr. being the next one up. And I think there's people already having bets on Barron Trump being president one day.
There you go. He's only 18 years old.
He's only 18, but possibly destined for great things. Now, before you go, Argentina's Libertarian president, Javier Milei, has won decisive victories in the midterm elections. And I think it's time we revisited one of the all-time great Javier Milei rants. His was delivered before he was elected.
Al zurdo de mierda no le podés dar ni un milímetro.
Pero ¿me podés definir zurdo de mierda que no
Todos
lo
los que,
entiendo?
digamos, los colectivistas, los que ponen, digamos, o sea, esa idea... A ver,
¿Por qué le pones de mierda, digamos?
Porque son una mierda. O sea,
vos mezclás...
no, pero es que si pensás,
pero
si pensás distinto te van a aniquilar. Ese es el punto. Es decir, vos al zurdo no le podés dar un milímetro, porque le das un milímetro y lo toma para destrozarte.
No, you can't give them an inch, Kosha. You cannot give them an inch. They will kill you. They almost killed Argentina. You look at what happened to Argentina over several decades, this once prosperous, proud nation on its knees. And the way it's bounced back under Milei is astonishing. And again, these midterm results are an endorsement of what he's been able to achieve.
I think it's that one, and it's his chainsaw when he was taking the chainsaw to the government. Those are the two. Such a great example, like a cautionary tale for the whole world of how such a rich, prosperous nation completely tanked in just such a short period of time. And then also how you can come back from it. And inflation was like north of 200% before him. And it's now down to 40%, very, very high, but it's trending in the right direction. I think it's going to be 30% by the end of this year, projections say. GDP was in a recession, GDP growth, it's now 5-6% even, it's growing. Their currency was so devalued against the dollar, it's appreciated something like 40%. So all those things are going in the right direction. Still a long way to go. Unemployment is high. Real wages haven't grown. Poverty is tough because you can't turn those things around instantly.
Absolutely.
But it is incredible. And I think many governments from other prosperous nations that are faltering, like ours and others, can take note.
Kosha Gada, thank you so much.
Always a pleasure.